Hello Internet, I'm Spencer Wilson, and today's video will be about my game studio, Well-Named Studio. So recently I was thinking of ways to jumpstart my business, Well-Named Studio, and how we could maybe get ourselves going and rolling because things were moving quite slowly on our current game project. Maybe it was scoped too large, and so I decided to roll things back a little bit. I have decided to do something short and quick in a game jam. A game jam, for those of you who do not know, is a way that game developers go about developing games where they develop it in a very short amount of time. Generally, it's about 2 days, but there are all sorts of variations. They're very popular. They're normally held as events where lots of groups of developers go together and work in teams or whatever to develop a bunch of different games. At the end of it, everyone has a playable game, is the idea. For our game studio, though, we're taking that idea and we're bringing it to something that makes sense for us. We are taking that idea and we're extending the time frame a little bit because, first of all, we work on a week-by-week basis right now where we hold weekly meetings, and so it'll be easier if we can fit it to that time frame. Second of all, we plan on fully releasing this game by the end to the App Store. And I think, third of all, we're all still in school, and this makes it so that when we want to work on this game and stuff, we'll have other priorities and other things going on, so a larger time frame is more necessary. Our theme for our game jam is based off of the video by Jonas Tyroller, Can We Make This Button Fun to Press? It's a unique video where he breaks down what fun is and how you can make something that seems mundane much more fun, and to bring about certain characteristics that make something entertaining. It's a great dive into what interactive media is, and it's helped me a lot in designing games, so I thought I'd take that video as an example and really dive into it. Our theme for this one is to do the same style of thing where we take something mundane and make it fun, but in this case the mundane item is, instead of pressing a button, is scrolling on your phone. It's pretty mundane, it happens all over, but there's a slight reward to it, making progress and scrolling. We're just going to dive into the development there. So I designed this game thinking that, if we got to make it more fun, we got to take the notes from Jonas Tyroller and a couple other places that I have taken some notes from, and we've got to give it impact. Is, I think, the most important thing that we needed to do first, was to give it impact that it would be able to feel like you're actually accomplishing something as you're scrolling down your phone. This is easily accomplished by adding a score, I feel like. That is something that is impactful. Seeing that number increase the farther you go, I feel like, is something very innately rewarding. Seeing large counting numbers has been proven by a large number of games. You have Adventure Capitalist, Cookie Clicker, a bunch of other games that break down and use that innate desire for numbers to increase to give that reward. So that's one way that we plan on increasing the impactfulness. Another thing that we are going to try to do is to increase the randomness. Randomness can be inherently fun. Being able to roll a dice and see the outcome can be fun and entertaining. Too much randomness, it becomes more like gambling, so you have to balance it to a degree, but randomness in a general sense, if you apply a little bit, makes things more fun. So, seeing what you get is always fun. Opening a present is kind of what it's like on a smaller scale. You need to be careful when designing with randomness, as it can be addictive and can feel very unrewarding at times if it's done improperly. So to avoid some of those areas where it's less fun for the user, even if they don't realize it, you have to balance your randomness and make sure that it is fun and only happens on occasion and is not the entire game. In our case, we'll have little green dots that will scatter the path of what is now the player stuck on the center of the screen. And as the player collides with these green dots, as the user scrolls through the app, they will give a random addition to the score. And this random addition is the randomness, where it could range and you could hit the jackpot and get a large number, or you just get a general benefit. I feel like this is a great way to implement randomness, as there is no losing. You are only going to get a benefit, but it's how much of a benefit will you get, and it's not all the time. So I feel like this is a very good way to implement randomness. We are also thinking about other ways to increase the impact. Another way to increase impact is to actually have negative effects, or to cause the player to reset or to backtrack a little ways. This will make all of their progress seem way more worthwhile and to show its true value in a sense, because as they make this progress, they know that they are making something that could be lost. It is a reward with a possible risk. So in this case, we'll scatter along the path of what is now the player some red dots as well, and these red dots will end up killing the player. If the player dies, they can restart and continue on, but they lose their score and everything else they've earned. So it kind of adds this risk to scrolling really fast, which is the quickest way to increase points. Now, it's way too easy probably to dodge these red dots, because as you scroll, you'll just slow down or stop, and that's not what we want to encourage. We don't want to encourage slowing down or stopping, and so we need to make up for this negative feature with maybe some positive features. One way that we can do this is by giving the user XP for continuous scrolling. So the longer you scroll, the more XP you get. That way your XP bar is increasing more and more the further on you go with continuous scrolling. If you ever stop, you start back at the beginning of the increase for XP, and you have to go slower until you reach back up to where you were. This is all well and good, but XP doesn't really mean anything unless we can give the level that they've achieved some sort of value. And in this case, I thought that we could take the XP and use it as a multiplier for points received through the random green dots. So the longer you've continuously scrolled, the more XP you have, and the more XP you have, the larger the multiplier for these random dots, meaning you'll hit larger and larger jackpots to increase your score. Now, this game is already probably really fun to play, and I feel like it has a lot of the features it needs. One last thing that we can do to really spice up this game is to give it eye candy, so give it art for the player, for the dots, for the background, make it all consistent across the theme, and to give it audio candy as well. Some sounds as you hit the green dots or the red dots that they give a very clear indication of what you've done and the reward that you've received. Give some particle effects for colliding with them, maybe some particle effects for showing how fast you're scrolling, and a couple of other things such as particle effects when the XP bar fills up, and a sound effect, and score increase. We could have rollover and look very neat in how it increases instead of just a number that immediately switches to the next. These are all things that we can play around with and attempt to do given the time. And then once we get all of that done, we will be able to start on releasing the game. Releasing the game, we intend to release to Android devices through Google Play. We already have acquired the account to do so and have already done a good portion of the research required to see what we need to do. In this case, we'll also be putting ads in our game, as that's something that I would like to experiment with and see if we can get that working, and to see if that's a reasonable way to make money off of our game, because I want to release this for free. The main point of this game is not to make money though, so I'm not concerned with how much money is made off of ad revenue at this time. Its main goal is to see how far we can push the company and what we can do in a set amount of time, and what our areas that we are lacking in are. What can we do better? What can we work on for larger games, for smaller games, so that we can see the full process and to really dial in our team. Now, there's a lot of data that I'll be looking at. I'll be looking at how many users we can gather. I'll be looking at what people enjoyed about it. So if you guys have feedback when it releases, let me know. But this 3-week game jam will probably begin later today, the 9th of January, and end on the 30th of January, where we will have the released game. So look for somewhere around the 30th, the 29th, or the 28th of January to see our game released on the Android App Store. We do not know its name yet, but I will make sure to update you guys with a post or in one of my coming videos when we have decided a name. So something you can look forward to is that I will be posting a post-mortem of this game design process where I'll break down what we did, what happened when, and what we were struggling with and what we were doing well with. This will come after the 30th, which is a Saturday, so the next video will probably be the Saturday after that. So if you guys are interested in this game development content where I break down what we're doing with our game studio, then make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.